Hi, my name's Napoli, and I've been playing Summoner's War since 2016. And we have a really amazing event going on right now that's helping new and returning players coming back to the game. And so I've been streaming over on Twitch, getting a lot of questions and stuff like that. So I thought I'd make a video trying to address some of the traps that new players can fall into. Some of the information out there is either outdated or it's not the best progression steps. So um, we're gonna go through some things here. Some things like the Lucian trap. You know, do you make Shannon? Do you make Sigmarus? Like, do you need them? Is Veramos the best fusion? Just some common questions that new players have, and hopefully we can address them in this video so that players returning in 2021 can feel comfortable making the right decisions for their accounts. So jumping into it here, we're going to talk about some monsters like Fran, Lauren, Crow. We're going to be addressing some of the concerns of why we're choosing to build some monsters over other monsters. So, why do we build certain monsters over other monsters? Well, this guide here is to kind of stop you from building a monster you're only going to use for a limited period of time, and then you're going to throw them in your box and never use them again, or you'll use them in like rare situations. So we want to make sure we're taking our limited resources in early game. You're not going to have a bunch of materials just sitting waiting to do net to 6-star monsters, or have a bunch of mana sitting there to grind it. You got to be really picky and choosy about what you do. So by focusing on certain monsters, you can reuse monsters in other content. And so the first thing we're going to talk about here is the Lucian trap, okay? So the Lucian trap is a big issue that I think a lot of people think they have to have a Lucian to progress in the game because he's a very wide talked about monster. And when we find one here, um, we can take a look and see that with Lucian, has a really strong kit. He's a really cool monster. Please don't pay attention to the stats on mine. He just sits in my box and holds runes for me, and this is what I'm getting to. So Lucian is a very stat-hungry monster. He is meant to speed up your teams and make you get through runs faster. So the question you got to ask yourself is, can my Lucian one-shot a floor on giants? And if the answer is no, then Lucian might not be the right monster for you to build. And these new and returning players may get hung up on trying to make their Lucian one-shot the monster floors. And so those runes could be used maybe on a better monster that would help you with a little bit of a slower time, but help you clear the floors more consistently. So with Lucian here, he needs a lot of stats. He needs crit rate, crit damage, speed, attack, HP to survive. So, you have to make sure that you have enough runes to put on him, and as a new player, you don't. So the trap of Lucian, I always say, try to stay away from him until you're in the game, you're consistently running your Giants team, and then you're looking to go to more of a speed team, and then you can make the choice of, am I going to go a Lucian team, or am I going to go some like the standard dot team now that everybody uses? Those are some of the questions you would have to ask yourself. But as a new player, don't worry about building Lucian. You'll have other monsters in your box. You get a lot of scrolls now in the game. You're gonna summon something that you can use as damage to clear the floors. With that said, the second monster, Shannon. I don't have a Shannon on my account, and I really don't think you should either. I mean, of course, let's just take a step back. Summoner's War is a game, so everybody can play it the way they want to play it. But Shannon is a monster that can help you progress through giants, and that's it. She's not really used in any other content in the game. So my Shannon, I did have a Shannon at one time, but I only had her 5 stars, so she then eventually became food for a 6-star. But Shannon is only used to clear giants, and then once you clear giants or you start moving on to faster teams, Shannon will be one of the first monsters you will replace on that team. So why waste resources on a monster that you aren't going to use for other content in the game? The same argument can be made for Sigmarus. Sigmarus is a fusion monster. It takes a lot of material to make a fusion monster. So why waste those materials on Sigmarus or even Veramos as an argument? Like some people say, still fuse them, but we'll get to what I think the first fusion should be for progression here in a little bit. But those monsters take a lot of 4 stars to make 5 stars to make the fusion, and it's just a lot of material that you could be using to push into both dragons and giants at quicker than wasting all those materials on one monster. Um, so with that said, what is the best monster to fuse early on? And my argument for that would be the Fire Panda. The Fire Panda has an amazing kit that can be used for Guild Siege and other content in the game. You won't really use them in dungeons, but you can use them in some places because he has a very robust kit, a cleanse, as well as HP disruption, attack break, defense. Like, he's just a well-rounded monster. Like, he has a lot of stuff on him, and you're going to use him in your raids. Raids is a very accessible content now because of how fast you can progress in the game. And, used to it may take a player a year or two to get to raids, but now you could get to raids in the first 6 months if you really push it, and maybe faster if you really, really push. So I would say, instead of having to try to fight for your Fire Panda later, start working on it a little early. And if you're wanting to go for other fusions, Vertihile is an amazing 4-star to fuse, and honestly should be your first fusion that you do is a Vertihile. Yeah, the pieces to get him is pretty easy. He's a really good summon, and your second should be a Beretta, so you can start pushing into TOA. Now, these things change depending on what you summon. So if you summon like a Rika, you may not need to fuse Beretta. But with those type of monsters, I would say that, kind of skip the Sigmarus and Veramos. Eventually you can fuse them and have them. You will, because you'll just want to do other things in the game. But the Fire Panda is going to be the one that's going to help your progression the most. So what do you do then? What do you do with, how do you progress? And, what monsters are really good to build in 2021? What monsters do I want to build then, so that I can make sure that I am utilizing the most resources on my account to do the best things? And that's a really good question. So the 3 monsters I would say you would want to fuse is your Fran. Fran is one of the best healers that you can easily access in the game. She's kind of the Bella replacement. We used to all start with Bella. Now we use Fran. You can get Fran by doing just a couple of events, getting the ancient coins, and summoning her from the shop. If you're starting right now while they're doing this new returning player event, you can get her pretty quick and pretty cheap. So Fran is one of my top picks for newer players. Try to get her as quick as possible. You get her from the ancient coin shop. She has a really good kit on attack boost for your team. She has a immunity, and she has heals. So she's just all around a strong unit. Second monster you should go for is Lauren. Lauren has one of the craziest kits for a 3-star in the game. So with Lauren, on her skill 3, she decreases attack bar with every attack. That's her passive, I'm sorry. So every time she hits them, she has a 20%. She can decrease the attack bar by 20%, and weakens the enemy's defense. She has a built-in defense on all of her attacks, which is a defense break on all of her attacks, which is an amazing skill. The second thing is she has multi-attacks, which means every time she hits, she pushes the attack bar back. And she can remove beneficial effects, which is really good for dragons, which is the second dungeon you're going to be going for. And on the third one, she does 3 projectiles, which has a chance to lower attack speed, which with Fran and Lauren, you can push the attack bar back on the boss to where they never take a turn. And your third most built monster should be Crow. Crow is an amazing monster to get out early game. He pairs rune really well with some of the free runes you get from just being a new player, and he does really good big damage at the beginning of your account building. So why do you want to build these 3 monsters over other monsters? Well, Fran, Lauren, and Crow can be used in both dragons, giants, and almost any content in the game. They could be used on your TOA team. They can be used in any PvP scenario. They're just all around good monsters that will never really be taking up space in your box because you're going to use them everywhere. And that's why I say skip the stat hungry monsters like Lucian. Don't worry about wasting material on a Shannon. Don't try to push Sigmarus or Veramos like the guides online say. Work on getting these 3 free monsters that you can get from secret dungeons or ancient coins, and make your progression that way. With those monsters, you will be setting yourself up and really be utilizing your resources to help push your progression in the game faster. So, yeah, I hope this video helped. I hope these monsters, they're very easy to access. If you're needing any help with any other content in the game, I do stream over on Twitch at Napoli, and I usually stream every day from 10:30 Central Time till for about 2 or 3 hours. So you can catch me over again on Twitch at Napoli. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful.